Animal feed is very important when it comes to dairy production, and most farmers in Kenya have been crying about the availability of feed, especially in times of drought. Well, we heard your cry. This week on Seeds of Gold, we are going to look at silage, for it's not only important to feed your dairy cows, but the content which you feed them is very important. We are going to look at the importance of silage and the production process of making silage, all towards maximum productivity in your dairy farming. This is Seeds of Gold. Hello, Professor.
Yes,
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hey,
Gongeri. Yeah, Gongeri, part of Egerton.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, now, tell us a bit about yourself, first of all.
My name's Anthony KIBE. I'm a lecturer, actually a professor of agronomy, which is a science that deals with soil management and crop production. Okay. Particularly field crop production. Okay. Yeah. Field crops are those crops that are grown on open fields. Yes. Mostly the staple foods of the world. Okay. For instance, like maize, wheat, you have rice, sorghums, etc. Okay. Yes. But now, our focus today is particularly silage. Yes. Okay. Because we've gone to many farmers and they just happen to drop in the word silage here and there at times. Yeah. So today we really want to focus on it and zero in on what exactly is silage, where it comes from, how it is produced and its benefits. So start first of all by telling us what silage is. Silage is a livestock feed, mostly fed in the stalls, which has been partially fermented to preserve the nutrients that are within the fodder material and presented in a form that is palatable. So it's usually made through a process that we call as ensiling. Yeah. Okay. So ensiling is simply you cut the herbage, for instance, the fodder maize, you chop it into smaller pieces, and then you put it in a system that is known as a silo. And you try to avoid air. You reduce air as much as possible so as to bring in about what you call as anaerobic conditions. Yes. Silage is prepared by keeping forage in absence of oxygen, leaving the bacteria to eat the fodder. This action produces acids that protects it from decomposing and allows it to keep its nutritional quality. Silage can stay preserved for up to 5 years. What are some of the crops that can be used to prepare silage? We have the maize, like what we call as the fodder crops. Fodder crops tend to be bulky. Sorghums, we have sorghums, we have some types of like millets, you know. We also have legumes such as alfalfa or lucerne. You can also have clovers. Even you can even put in there like the herbage that you get, like njahe, you know njahe? Yeah. Those are also legumes. As a farmer, you can use different fodder crops to create your silage. But in today's show, we will be using maize. How long does the maize need to have grown for before it is ready for making the silage? We normally harvest the maize at about when it is still soft. When you press it, for instance, if you open here and you press it, okay, it's milky, the milky stage. Yes. This is when, after this, the nutritional content declines very fast. Okay. Yeah. When it starts, when it starts drying. Yes, when it starts hardening. Yeah, hardening, yes. So we try to have it when it is still milky. Yes. So at that time, you haven't lost a lot of the protein, yes, but you also have been able to get a lot of carbohydrates.
Yes.
Because the bacteria that acts on this to kind of, as it is biodegrading it, it requires a lot of carbohydrate.
Okay.
More than 33 to 35%
Okay.
must be carbohydrate.
All right.
For it to be able to increase, the bacteria kind of increase in number. And as they are biodegrading it, they produce organic acids. Now these acids are the ones that, once they increase, they bring down the whole mass to about 4.5, a pH of 4.5.
Okay.
Once that reaches, all other bacteria are not able to live in that system. So it preserves it.
I can see there is some harvesting that is going on or has been going on here.
Yes.
So this, I believe, is wheat.
Yes,
right?
it's wheat, yeah.
So is it any way, going to be used also in the production of the silage?
Not really. By the time the wheat is ready, it has already lost its protein content.
Yeah.
It would be less than 6%. Normally we know that just for maintenance of the animal, you need a nutrition that has not less than 6% crude protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so for this, we can only harvest the straw, which later on we can give it to the livestock, which is used as roughage.
Okay.
Because when you're computing the rations, you need quite a high amount as roughage. More than 60-70% is actually just roughage.
Okay.
Then the other bits now is where you look for the protein, you look for the concentrates, that are given in small amounts. Yeah.
Okay. At this farm, they practice conservation agriculture, which means minimal soil disturbance, permanent soil cover, and crop rotations. They do minimal tillage, which maintains the natural soil structure. My next stop is meeting the farm manager. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes.
This is the farm manager.
Okay.
Mr. CHEPKUTO. He's the main producer here. He's like the production manager.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are these right now? This maize ready for harvesting, for making of the silage?
Yeah, it is ready for silage making.
Okay.
But what we do here basically is we are on actually because of global warming. We have had climate change. So because of this climate change, we have to look for mitigation. And we have done that through conservation agriculture. So we conserve moisture. Any rain or any precipitation, we have to conserve.
Okay.
This is through minimal tillage. Like you can see our crop, the wheat, and also for maize, we have done conservation agriculture. In addition to that, we are doing also precision, so that we can get the right plant population, we get the right yields, because we must do it economically.
Excessive tillage of agricultural soils in the long term leads to a reduction of soil organic matter. Soil organic matter provides nutrients for the crops and is a crucial element in the stabilization of soil structure. Therefore, most soils degrade under prolonged intense tilling. Mulching is one method of protecting the soil and improving growth environment for the crop.
At the moment, even 250 mils annual rainfall, you can do a crop like this, wheat. Yeah, like most of our people who did conventional operations, they never got harvest. But here, this is seed, 100-acre seed. We are expecting 20 bags an acre.
Professor, you can feed only silage to your animal?
Yes, it's possible to feed it alone if there is no other feeds available. So it depends on the season, and also it depends on the availability of other options. You can also be feeding it as part of the ration on a daily basis. Like we normally recommend about 15 kilograms of silage every time you feed the animal, or after you milk it, give it 15, maybe in the morning, and also another 15 kilos in the evening. But then you also add dairy meal, because it depends on how nutritious that silage is. If you are to increase your milk production or beef production, you need a feed that has not less than 12% in crude protein content.
Okay.
Meaning that if you had your maize at that stage, at about when it was milking or booting, you can be able to almost achieve that. But then it's usually around 10 to 9% crude protein. So then you need to supplement with another legume, or you buy the concentrates that are bought, maybe like you had the blood meal if you are not a vegetarian, or you can get the cotton seed cake, or some of these byproducts that have high concentration of nutrients and minerals in them. Dairy meal also, of course, people feed. They can give about 5 kilos along with the 15 kilos of silage. And so you can, it depends now on the kind of ration that you have planned for your animals.
Crops that have a good percentage of sugar, appropriate dry matter, and high moisture are good for silage making. Maize is one of them.
We have various varieties. For us here, we are doing commercial farming. So we have 2 varieties. We have 6210 from Kenya seed and 626 from Kenya seed. But what is good for silage making is yellow maize. But because we have to have isolation in yellow maize because of cross-pollination, we rather do our whole commercial crop and then we conserve what we can from that commercial maize.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what advantage does it have over, others that are below the 600 series?
A variety like 6210 is a very tall variety. And so you get more tonnage per acre. The minimum amount of tonnage that we get per acre is 20 tons. But for such varieties, we can even get 40 to 50 tons an acre.
These varieties, are there different areas with different climatical conditions that they probably thrive in, Professor?
The 600 series tend to be grown in areas where you're at an altitude of over 6,000 feet above sea level. So those are usually bred in Kitale. We have the other ones that are bred in Embu, the Kalro nowadays. Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization. Those ones are the 5,000 altitude varieties. Around Nairobi, you grow those some parts of Central. And then you have the ones that are dryland, which are mainly developed in Katumani, Kalro. Of course, the composites, we have the Katumani composites, we have the dry highland, DH01, DH02, it goes on as a series. In the coastal regions at the, sea level, we have like the Pwani hybrid varieties. And we also have land races that farmers grow. So, but there are certain things that we look for a fodder material. It has to have a relatively high herbage yield. Tillering effect. Okay, maize don't tiller. The ones that we grow, it grows as one stem, which we call as tillers. It's like this wheat here. This is a tiller here. But when you look at one plant, this is one plant, it has many tillers. So like it might have about 7 or 8 for this particular cultivar by the time you're harvesting. But for the forages, we want to have a lot of tillering. You see, so when we are selecting, you always select for varieties that have a lot of tillering, a lot of leaves, it is lush, and the vegetative growth period is kind of more. So that's what now we advise farmers to look for. There are varieties of maize that also tiller. That if you have one, of course, you can also select that for your herbage. But when it comes now to setting the seed or the cobs, you find it is compromised. The more the herbage, the less the shorter the ear length, the smaller the grain, etc. But we are not targeting the grain. We are targeting the biomass. So that's what we look for. Whether it's oats, whether it's the lucerne, whether it's a sorghums, whatever. We want a crop that is luscious, you know? That produces high dry matter.
Whether you're doing this as a business or for your animals, crops that have body or more stems will give you more silage. With current global warming, avoid loss of soil moisture by tilling your soil less frequently. More to come after the break. Time to get our hands dirty by making actual silage.
From the vast windy wheat fields to the activity-packed maize field. As you can see in the background, the silage preparation has already begun. And with us here, I have the gentleman who is in charge of that process. That is Mr. Peter Kingori. Asante sana kwa kutukaribisha hapa. Lazima tungekuja tukuambie tumefika.
Karibuni.
Asante sana. Sasa tunaweza kuachilia uendelee na kazi. Sawa. Asante sana. Yes. Now the process begins. We have our maize, and the reason why we're exactly here at this position is so as to see the silage being prepared. Right in front of us is an area, a field that has some maize that has dried up a bit, and behind us at a distance is maize that is very ready for harvesting for the purposes of silage. Professor and Bwana CHEPKUTO.
Yes.
So this is where things are happening.
Right.
Can you explain to us exactly now what is happening?
So welcome to our silage pit. That is the silage pit. This is the fields where we get the maize. We have the forage harvester, as you can see there.
Yes.
It is supposed to cut the maize plant into 2-inch pieces. This will facilitate effective compacting. The purpose of compacting is to get rid of air.
Yes.
So in the process, we will have acidity increasing. That means the pH is going down up to 3. And then in that process, at that point of 3, we will have inhibition of any other process, and that is the preservation.
Okay. Pia nimeona kuna kitu imekuwa ikimwagiwa. Ni nini hiyo walikuwa kimwagilia?
That is molasses.
Aha.
What happens? These bacteria feed on sugars. So where we have less sugars in the material, we have to add molasses. Yeah, correct.
This I can see silage making process is on a large scale. Okay, so mkulima mdogo kama mimi na sina hii tractor, sina hiyo mashini ya kukatakata yote, mimi nitasaidikaje? Nitatengenezaje silage yangu?
Siweza tengeneza silo ndogo kuliko hii. Unaona hii inaitwa, these are trench silo. It means that we come and we dig out the soil and we allow a trench to remain there.
Yeah.
But this is a big one. You can simply have a smaller one. You can also have a bank one or a stack silo. You can stack above the ground. But the advantages and disadvantages, because the idea is to remove air as fast as possible.
Yes.
So as to limit the time of biodegradation.
Yes.
Yeah. So the faster you remove the air by consolidation, like the tractor that you're seeing is consolidating, it's removing the air, the better for enhancing the process of silage making.
Yes.
So when it is underground, you can easily run the tractor on top. But if it is above ground,
Yeah.
or if it's smaller, then you cannot run the tractor.
Yeah.
In fact, you have to bring workers and wanaruka juu.
Kama ni mkulima na watoto wake wanaenda kurukaruka sasa, baba mama watoto. Can you imagine that scene of the father man?
Ama drum ikiwa na maji.
Ama drum ikiwa na maji.
Okay.
Alafu baadaye unaekelea mamawe. ama mataya kubwa za tractor ndio ifinyilie nini? Ifinyilie silage.
So whichever way you do it, intention hapa ni kucompact,
kutoa hewa itoke.
Yes.
Ndio sasa ile bakteria itaanza kudumu hapo ndani, ni ile inaweza survive bila hewa, bila oxygen.
Yes.
When it's all said and done, the point is to lose air from the silage so the bacteria can thrive without oxygen. At this stage, the more, the merrier. As soon as this is done, the forming of the silage has started. You have to monitor closely, especially in hot areas where sometimes overheating can happen.
I see we have three, if I can call them products, that we've just taken from there.
Yeah.
And of course they look different, and they're of course all at different stages of the silage making process.
Yes.
So can you just quickly take us through it?
Well, this is what we are putting into the trench or the silage.
Tunasaga saa hii. Yes.
Na idea ni kukata iwe like hivyo umeambiwa kama inchi 1 mpaka inchi 2.
Yeah.
Na inategemea because if it is very wet, then you don't cut very small pieces.
Yes.
Because by the wetness, if you have about 70%, the weight of the water in the material, it kind of consolidates itself. Okay.
I see, I get you.
So if it is drier, then you cut smaller pieces, so that they can easily compress.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is the issue of water content.
Yeah.
If it is less than let's say 40 to 60%, like in the dry areas, then there are dangers of the heat increasing too high to the point that it burns.
Okay.
Inakuwa black.
Okay.
So that's an issue about the water content.
Okay.
Then preferably the ultimate, what you get is this color. It is kind of greenish.
Even before that, how long would you need to keep this
to dry it?
To, you know, how long after, you know, una compress, umefunika, ndio umetoa hewa. So your process inafaa take how long?
About 2 to 3 weeks itakuwa tayari.
2 to 3, regardless of the amount.
Yeah. The issue is to remove the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in about, in fact, the first day, like tomorrow now, you can come and check to see whether the bacteria is working by putting in a thermometer. The range of the temperature should be between 30 and 50 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
If it is too low, then stop.
The silage
iko na maji mingi, that's why temperature is not going up.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo achilie bacteria ianze kukula na hizo ndio temperature inaenda juu.
Okay.
Yeah. And it also tells you to dry, pre-wilt your material before you start and silage.
Okay. That is if you started on the first day, checks the temperature,
and it's too low.
It's
less than 30.
It's less than 30. Okay.
If it's too high, if it's beyond 50, it means there's too much air. You see? So sometimes what we do is we pour water to reduce the rate of.
So that means now it is overly dry.
It's overly dry, and there's a lot of bacterial activity.
Yeah.
Therefore, the temperature is going too high, and it might even burn.
Yeah.
In fact, there are cases of explosions in silos.
Silage pit explode.
Moto. Especially if it is too dry, below 40% moisture content.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why it's difficult to do ensiling in dry areas.
So how, as a farmer, will I know whether the moisture content is just right?
Okay, in the field, we normally call it as a grab method. You can take your material after you have chopped it and put it as a ball. Okay? You put it as a ball and squeeze it hard. Okay? And then you release it. If it falls apart, slowly, and it has no juices, then that is more or less what we want to have as a material. Okay. But if you take a material and you squeeze it, and some juice comes out.
It's left on your hand.
Yes, you find some little juice, then you tend to have a material that has over 70
high moisture content.
percent. Yeah. So in such a case, you pre-wilt it That means you dry it in the open sunlight for a day or two, and then again you try and see.
Now, can you also use the same method to know whether it is too dry?
Yeah, because like just take any dry material and you press. What happens? It breaks.
It crackles, yes.
It cracks.
Yeah.
And so it breaks apart.
Then you'll know.
Then then you know it's very dry. It's less than 60% moisture.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bwana CHEPKUTO,
Yes, sir.
does this make part of the silage?
Yes, it is part of it because any moisture that comes out of it during compaction process will not be in contact with the feed material which we are after.
Okay.
Yeah, we also make the trench slopey to facilitate the drainage of that moisture.
So in case kuna maji, maji itateremka.
Itateremka chini. It will not be in contact with the ensiled material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tuko na hiyo material tumechop up, tumemwagilia molasses kuongeza sukari kidogo.
Correct.
Tumefinyilia, tumecompress.
Yes.
Kama ni nyumbani tumeita dadi mami
Kabisa.
wote tumerukaruka.
Kabisa.
Sasa
Yeah.
ama tumeroll drum.
Yes.
Kutoka hapo ni hivyo.
Yes. Hii ni
Kazi
drum
imeisha.
yetu sasa.
Hii ndio drum sasa.
Hii ni drum sasa.
Haya.
There's a very thin line between making silage and composting. In silage making, removing air is the most important aspect, which is the same method you use when composting. Meaning, if you don't get it right, you will end up with tons of compost. Still more to come after the break. Silage ensures high milk production and healthy dairy animals, especially during dry seasons. It is palatable, laxative, digestible, and nutritious. In every step, you have to cover and place something heavy until all your silage is done.
The covering is done using this polythene paper, but you have to add some other material to add on weight. So in this case, we ensure that we cover using the polythene, and then we put in soil on top of it. We can add, we can put in the straws and then soil.
Okay.
Yes.
So after that covering, compression bado inaendelea?
After compacting is when we
yeah.
cover. But because it's a daily process, we have to cover at the end of every activity until we have completed the making of silage.
You need to put something heavy on this material.
The compression still continues even.
So what we use naturally is the soil.
Yeah.
So you put as much soil as you can, and you leave a dome shaped, so that if it rains, inaenda off the sides.
Otherwise itabaki hapo alafu ianze kuingia pole pole.
Then if you don't have enough soil, saa zingine watu weka hata mawe. Unaekelea mawe juu, anything that is heavy, kama ni hizi mataya za tractor mnaekelea juu, so that inakuwa na hiyo. In fact, with time, as the bacteria uses the air, the oxygen, it goes down, inateremka. That's why when you are finishing, it has to be quite high up. So after maybe the 3 or 4, about 4 weeks or 1 month, utakuta itafika mahali saa hakuna hewa hata, alafu sasa the lactobacillus sasa ianze kudominate within the mass, iendelee kuproduce lactic acid mpaka hiyo acid ifike to about almost 8%. That's another way of checking whether the process is complete. Ikifika between 5 to 9% of lactic acid, then you know you have achieved your objective. Saa hapo the thing is preserved. So saa unaacha sasa.
At the end of the day, the point of investing in making silage is to save cost and to keep your animal production constant in the downtime.
So how long have you been making silage with the university, and how has it helped in cutting costs or even helping with the animals in feeding them?
I've been making silage for the last 6 years, and making of silage has helped greatly, because a standing crop like what you see there, we have used 20,000 per acre. And then now you can decide from there. If you go for the grain and you sell maybe at 2,000, you are getting 53,000 in 1 acre.
2,000 per acre.
Yes. But when I make silage, in that 1 acre, it can feed 4 lactating animals for 365 days. Yes.
Okay.
You can see that I'm using 15 kilos per cow per day from 1 acre for the 4 cows, producing 15 liters and above.
Is it possible for one to just venture into silage making business?
It is possible. If there is market,
Yes.
if you give me an order now, and I will know the price, the buying price, I will make a lot of profit here. Yeah.
But
So it is that demand. If we reach a level where you require so much tons, I can make it for you, because it's a business. I know it will be more profitable than producing the grain. By the way, here at the farm, what we do, apart from maize silage, we also produce ingredients to compound our concentrates. Like in our concentrate, we have to make 16 to 18% crude protein, and 60% of that we get from any grain here, the maize grain, the barley grain, or the wheat grain. The 25% we can get from cottonseed cake, or sunflower cake, or canola cake. I will show you in the field what we are doing. 15% is byproduct. That is where now we go out and get maize germ and so on. And then 2% for minerals. So we make cost of production low. Yeah, and then we now supplement, we now supplement between 4 kilos to 8 kilos of this lactating animals. And you will see life is becoming easier.
So in summary, we've gone through the entire process. We've tilled our land with minimal tilling required, because we have some bit of the mulch that we want to keep. We've planted our maize, imemea, tumengojea at just the right amount of time that we might need it before, when it's at the milking stage, pia kabla haija harden, tumeharvest. Ama pia kama uko nyumbani, umechukua panga, umekatakata kadhaa, ama umetumia ile chaff cutter ya kukatakata, then tumeweka kwa silo pit, roll drum yetu sofa ambayo hapa hivi ni tractor yetu, tumefunika na mchanga nini, tumengojea our 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks. Now we have the silage itself.
Good silage should be green, brown, or golden in color. Black color indicates poor silage. It should not contain mold, and its smell should be a good smell of lactic and acetic acid, almost like vinegar. The taste should be pleasant and acidic.
Silage making is a technology that can be used by both the large scale as well as small scale farmers. It's not a new technology as such. It has been used in many countries in the world in the past for preserving animal feed. So I would encourage farmers to use it to preserve their livestock feed for times of scarcity. As you've seen, it's not a very difficult technology. You don't have to have this large, machinery as you have seen here in Egerton. You can also be using manual labor to harvest your maize or sorghum. Put it in a smaller trench silo. You can use it for feeding fewer number of animals, and of course you can supplement it with other feeds to increase the productivity of your animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sawa. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Martin.
Professor.
Kuja tena Egerton.
Haya.
Na tuendelee kufanya hii kazi pamoja.
Huku ni kwangu. Huku ni kwangu nyumbani. All right. Final word to farmers in Kenya.
To the farmers, I would encourage farmers to take farming as a business. Let us work on sound economic principles very well.
Yes.
And like dairy industry, this is our business.
Yeah.
So I would encourage farmers that farming, if you take it as a business, you make money out of it. We don't have to go for any other employment. The employment is here.
Right, there we have it. Silage is very important for dairy production, especially when you have long periods of drought. The process of making silage is quite easy. The more you have, you will keep it for longer and you will feed your animals for longer. They will give you enough milk for you to sell and have money for longer. Let's keep the conversation going. Hashtag Seeds of Gold TV. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook at Seeds of Gold. Keep it Seeds of Gold. Livestock is one of the largest agribusiness sectors in Kenya. One of the key challenges being access to market. Our focus today on KCB Foundation's Mifugo ni Mali segment is how to meet the requirements in the available meat to market in terms of quality, consistency, and working together to meet the demand.
80% of Kenya's land mass is inhabited by pastoral communities, or it is an arid and semi-arid area where the mainstay of the people is livestock. So here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to give those people who keep livestock access to market as a terminal market, because at the primary source, at the secondary source, they sell for the purpose of educating their children or health and whatever needs that they have for money. But what we are trying to assure them is a market for their livestock. We are fortunate now, we are certified export slaughterhouse, and we have already exported to Oman, we have already exported to Congo, and we are continuing. Now we are in the process of getting ISO certification. Our HASSAN and everything is in place, and once we get that, then we can access more market in the Middle East, specifically Dubai, Qatar, and Kuwait and Saudi. In this country, my main fear is the market demand is too huge. The challenge is we are not producing for the market. We are producing because as a culture or prestige, we keep livestock. What I want to urge the Kenyan community is let's produce for the market. And producing for the market means you have to meet quality, specifications that is required. The market, export market requires us to produce 6 to 9 kilogram goats or maximum of 15 kilogram goats.
We are doing three major things as a foundation. One, giving some support to producers so that they can come together as collectives in form of societies or ranches or beach management units. Then number two, there's capacity building in various aspects, especially financial aspects in record keeping, where there's audit and making sure that they're able to do financial and value chain record keeping. Number three is access to finances. As a foundation, we are giving discounted or 0% interest rates to our arid and semi-arid pastoralist farmers, so they're able to really improve their value chain. And the importance of what you're doing in financing is to really help producers get a little bit more stock, quantity, and also improve on the quality of their stock, so that when we have such like facilities that can access that need a lot of stock, we're able to support farmers at that producer level to have more stock, so that the market can also absorb the stock for export or for local consumption.
Depending on the kilo, we are buying at 320, 310 and selling at 340. So you see, we are just making a margin of 10 to 20 shillings a kilo. That is what we are doing. And that is very important for the pastoralist or the person who is keeping the livestock to know, so that they can prepare themselves and sell it to us. Here, it is cash. We don't pay after a week, after 10 days. We just bring your animals, so long as we meet the market demand and the price is competitive, we pay on the spot.
There are multiple ways of getting in touch with us. One, through our local KCB branch network. When you walk to any branch within this particular country, you're able to get more information about the foundation. That's critical. Number two, to our head offices based in Kencom. Number three, in also county offices where we're working with the county governments in arid and semi-arid areas, you're able to get more about KCB Foundation and what we do.